it's Molly and welcome back to my channel. Welcome here if it's your first time. Today's video is going to be an up-close comparison of the new Pat McGrath Foundation versus the Armani Luminous Silk. I've seen so many requests for this, so I wanted to show the foundations side by side, talk a little bit about each, but mostly just put them on really close in high def so that you can make your own decision about which is the right formula for yourself. Before we get started, you can find me on Instagram at Girl Get Glamorous and on Pinterest at Molly Gardner 1, and the blog is Girl Get Glamorous. All right, let's get started. For side one, let's go with the Armani Luminous Silk to get a baseline. I did the Armani on this side because I'm actually having some skin issues right now. I had a little bit of an allergic reaction around my mouth and around my eye. So I figured I would let the Armani do the heavy lifting because it's already such a favorite foundation. And the reason I love the Armani so much is because it really does look like a second skin for me, but it photographs so beautifully. Let's move on to the Pat McGrath now. I'm using samples of the Pat McGrath foundation. I almost purchased the shade 4, which is their light peach shade online. And then I realized that my local Sephora had the Pat McGrath foundations in store. So I went to go check them out, and I'm glad I did because the number 4 is actually really light, which you'll see in the swatches. And I'm actually much closer to a combination of 8 and 10, which is what I'm going to do today. This is shade 10 first. I'll add a little bit of this, and then I'll add some shade 8 in as well. Now, if you've ever used Armani, you know that it's a liquid foundation. It spreads easily and provides medium coverage. And the Pat McGrath is also a liquid foundation. I've used it a few times now, and it is a liquid formula, but to me, it feels almost like a serum foundation. It is very light and liquidy, so let me get in a little bit closer so you can watch me blend. Here's the Armani. And the Pat McGrath. Let's go take a look outside now so you can see this in natural light. And let's blend this out with a beauty blender now. This beauty blender is damp and it's been sitting out for about 20 minutes. It's damp, but almost dry, if that makes sense. And let me flip it over now. And we'll blend out the Pat McGrath side. And let's have one more up close look now that it's blended. I'm going to go about my day and I will check in a couple of hours and just show you how everything is holding up. I'm actually not going to set with a setting spray today, even though I normally would, just because I'm a little bit curious myself to see how they hold up without a setting spray. So here we go. This is probably the first day in years that I've not worn a setting spray over makeup. So we're getting wild today here. All right, I will check back in a little bit. The Pat McGrath, as you can see, is also a really beautiful finish. My initial impression with the Pat McGrath, it's beautiful, it's light, it has a really similar luminous finish to the Luminous Silk, which I love. I really prefer a more satiny skin-like finish to my foundations. This foundation also photographs really beautifully, and I'll put some photos in as well so you can see. The downside that I do see is that initially, and this is a combination of 8 and 10, which are both peach shades, as you can see, they were much more yellow toned versus the Armani. So if you have a peach undertone like myself, you're probably going to notice that as well, that there's a lot more yellow in the foundation. Now, I wore this the other day for, I want to say 7 hours. And as you can see, even just right now, that yellow really dissipates and blends in and my skin just looks bright. And I felt like at the end of that 7-hour day, I didn't notice that my skin looked particularly yellow or out of place at all, but I do notice it when I first applied the foundation. I think that both foundations are really beautiful for photography. I think they look like a second skin. Neither of the foundations are really tacky, but you know how there can be a slight stick to your skin if you don't set your foundation with either a setting spray or a powder. I would say right now nothing is set, and the Luminous Silk is less sticky to the touch, whereas the Pat McGrath has slightly more tack to it. But both foundations are really, really beautiful. I think that the 4.25 is a better match for my skin, but the 8 and 10 combination is also really stunning. It's a beautiful foundation. It doesn't sit in fine lines. It doesn't accentuate fine lines. You know, same thing with the Armani, but right now I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the Pat McGrath because it is the newer foundation. And so if you already have and know and love Luminous Silk, you probably just want a little bit more information on the Pat. And I believe they are around the same price. I think the Luminous Silk is $65 and the Pat McGrath is $68, and they're both around 1 ounce. So they're pretty comparable in that way as well. Honestly, I just wanted to do this video and show you up close so that you can make your own decision. Maybe you don't necessarily need me to tell you, get this one. I just want to see how they apply. So that's the point of this video. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, because that helps me know that this is content that is helping you all. And I love seeing that. I definitely want these videos to be helpful, because that's the point of them. Make sure that you are subscribed, turn on your notifications. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.